If you watched The Lion King as a child, or recently decided to check out the new Mufasa movie, chances are the hyenas left an unforgettable impression on you. They occupy a peculiar corner of our minds, where we store the unsettling, the terrifying, and yet the utterly fascinating. In real life, however, hyenas are even more intimidating and wild than their on-screen counterparts. On rare occasions, they've even been known to attack humans. Despite their reputation for danger, hyenas are often seen as the underdogs compared to Africa's other great predators, especially lions. In both movies and wildlife documentaries, we're used to seeing lions stealing their kills or dominating them in clashes. This rivalry isn't just for show. Studies indicate that lions often have the upper hand, defending and claiming carcasses with greater efficiency than hyenas. In some regions, lion attacks are even the leading cause of death for certain hyena species. But long ago, the story was very different. There was a time when hyenas reigned as the true queens of predators. They were bigger, stronger, and far more fearsome. Among all the hyenas that have ever existed, none compare to the titan of their lineage, Dinocrocuta. The name Dinocrocuta translates directly to the terrible hyena, and with a name like that, you can already imagine it was no ordinary creature. This fearsome reputation wasn't lost on researchers who, in the early 20th century, uncovered the massive bones of a specimen. Thankfully, these remains were well preserved, allowing scientists to quickly deduce that this animal was at least hyena-like and belonged to the suborder Feliformia, a group that includes cats, hyenas, mongooses, and their close relatives. Among all feliforms, this specimen bore a striking resemblance to hyenas and was placed within the Hyenidae family. However, researchers concluded that its closest living relative was the spotted hyena, Crocuta crocuta, even though Dinocrocuta was neither its direct ancestor nor left any descendants. Subsequent discoveries unearthed more specimens of this formidable creature across various parts of the world. While these new fossils were unmistakably Dinocrocuta, they displayed variations in size and body proportions. These differences led to the identification of 4 distinct species: Dinocrocuta algeriensis, Gigantea, Saloniki, and Senyureki. Despite their differences, all species shared one defining trait. They were enormous compared to most known hyenas. In fact, Dinocrocuta became the largest hyena-like predator ever discovered at the time, earning the title King of Hyenas. But there was one small catch. Dinocrocuta might not have been a true hyena. Upon closer analysis of these new species, paleontologists noted some unique features in their teeth. Specifically, their milk teeth were unusually wide, a characteristic that set them apart from modern hyenas. This discovery led scientists to reclassify Dinocrocuta as hyena-like rather than a true hyena, creating a new family called Percrocudidae. This family was thought to be either a sister group to hyenas or even a completely separate lineage within the Feliformia. Members of this family were distinguished by their enormous size and incredibly powerful jaws. This reclassification stripped Dinocrocuta of its title as the Queen of Hyenas, which was then passed to another genus, Pachycrocuta. This lion-sized carnivore dominated Eurasia during the Pleistocene. However, the story didn't end there. Recently, a new study utilizing detailed imaging of Dinocrocuta's skull revealed striking similarities with modern hyenas that were too significant to ignore. This confirmed that the original classification was correct, restoring Dinocrocuta's status as one of the largest and most fearsome true hyenas to have ever lived. The terrible hyena reclaimed its rightful place in history, once again vying for the title of the most imposing predator of its lineage. When it comes to body size, Dinocrocuta, particularly the species Dinocrocuta gigantea, has no competition. It was the largest of its kind, far surpassing any other known hyena. According to the analysis of its imposing bones, scientists estimate that adult individuals of this species weighed, on average, between 200 and 250 kilograms. To put this in perspective, that would be the equivalent of 3 or 4 modern spotted hyenas. At the upper end of this range, Gigantea would have been larger than an average male lion. In fact, some estimates suggest that even Simba, the iconic lion from The Lion King, would have been about 10% smaller than a Dinocrocuta. A theoretical showdown between the two would have been a disaster for fans of the king of the savannah. At this size, Dinocrocuta stands as the largest hyena to have ever existed, 40% larger than its nearest competitor. Early calculations even suggest that exceptional individuals of this species could have reached a maximum weight of up to 380 kilograms, coming closer in size to a large Siberian tiger than any known lion. It's clear that this creature would have been a true terror for lions if they had coexisted. Now, although its size was impressive, there are likely some lion defenders who would argue that lions would have the advantage thanks to their retractable, curved claws. It's true that Dinocrocuta did not have retractable claws. Instead, it had short, blunt claws that could not retract. However, this apparent disadvantage was more than made up for by its powerful anatomy. Dinocrocuta had incredibly robust front and hind limbs, designed to exert immense force. Additionally, its skeleton was abnormally thick and durable, allowing it to withstand significant impacts. These features made it not only a gigantic predator, but also one that was extremely strong and durable, capable of facing large prey and rivals with unparalleled brute strength. Clearly, Dinocrocuta was not just a formidable predator in terms of size, but also an animal whose strength and physical adaptations positioned it as one of the greatest evolutionary challenges for any rival in its time. The bones of Dinocrocuta were not only thick and resistant, but their shape revealed massive anchor points for muscles. This suggests that this creature was incredibly muscular and could use its body to overpower prey even larger than itself. Additionally, the bones of its legs showed that, despite its great strength, it was also agile and adapted for covering long distances. Like modern hyenas, Dinocrocuta likely pursued its prey for several kilometers, a combination of strength and endurance that made it a highly effective predator. What truly set Dinocrocuta apart and would have intimidated even an adult lion was its titanic skull. While every part of its body was large, its head was disproportionately huge, measuring more than 30 centimeters in length and accounting for over 20% of its total body length. To put this in perspective, if humans had proportionally similar skulls, we would almost look like a Funko Pop figure. Well, I'm exaggerating a bit, but you get the idea. However, while a large head in humans is typically associated with a larger brain, in Dinocrocuta it meant something entirely different, an extremely powerful bite. Modern hyenas, such as the spotted hyena, are already known for having one of the strongest bites in the animal kingdom, with a force of over 4,500 newtons, enough to easily break a human bone. But this is nothing compared to Dinocrocuta's bite, which is believed to have been capable of generating enough force to crush the bones of giant terrestrial animals like elephants and rhinoceroses. And not just crush, Dinocrocuta would literally pulverize bones into small fragments, allowing it to consume and digest them as an important part of its diet. This astounding ability is not only inferred from the size of its skull, but also from the large temporal muscles that would have allowed Dinocrocuta to close its jaws with tremendous force. Its teeth were also designed for this purpose. They were colossal, many times larger than those of any modern hyena, and had extremely thick enamel. This adaptation allowed them to crush bones with ease while minimizing wear, ensuring their effectiveness throughout their lifetime. In particular, its premolars and canines were truly impressive. These teeth not only surpassed those of modern hyenas, but also those of other bone-crushing specialists, like the Barophagus, one of the largest canids that ever existed. Dinocrocuta was not only terrifying due to its size and strength, but also for its horrifying method of bringing down prey. While many carnivorous mammals use their tusks and teeth to attack vulnerable areas like the neck or abdomen, Dinocrocuta took a much more brutal approach. It used its overwhelming strength to literally crush the heads of its victims as if they were candies. Fossil evidence supports this theory, including the skull of a Cheilotherium, a primitive rhinoceros which showed extensive damage to its jaw and the top of its skull. The marks perfectly matched Dinocrocuta's teeth, suggesting that it attacked by pulverizing the heads of large animals rather than using more common methods. However, in the case of this particular Cheilotherium, it managed to survive the attack, as the wounds on its skull had fully healed. This discovery not only shows the ferocity of Dinocrocuta, but also its ability to take on animals much larger than itself. Its menu included massive animals like rhinoceroses, proboscidans, ancient relatives of elephants, large artiodactyls, and, of course, smaller prey when the opportunity arose. The fact that the rhinoceros survived suggests that Dinocrocuta was clearly an active hunter, clearing up the long-standing debate about whether it was a scavenger or not. This confusion may have stemmed from the stereotype that modern hyenas are primarily scavengers, when in reality, species like the spotted hyena hunt most of their food, with success rates even higher than those of lions. The same seems to apply to Dinocrocuta, which not only actively hunted, but also had a special ability to take advantage of others. Due to its imposing size and deadly jaws, Dinocrocuta likely practiced a high level of kleptoparasitism, meaning it would steal prey hunted by other predators. Its powerful musculature and bone-crushing teeth allowed it to feed on even the most devastated remains, accessing the nutritious marrow inside the bones. The scariest part is that a single Dinocrocuta would have been enough to scare off most predators, including saber-toothed cats and large canids. However, there is a possibility that this nightmare didn't hunt alone, but preferred to roam in packs, like its living relatives. In other words, bad news for literally anything that crossed its path. There is no direct and solid evidence that this gigantic hyena was social, but some believe it was based on the simple fact that certain species of modern hyenas are. In fact, they show a fascinating trend. The larger species, not the smaller ones, have much more developed social behavior. For example, spotted hyenas live in groups of up to 80 individuals. If we imagine that Dinocrocuta lived in groups of that size, the combined weight of all the pack members would rival that of several adult African elephants. While there is no direct evidence of pack living, there are correlating data. In almost every area where Dinocrocuta lived, it appears to have been the most abundant large predator by a considerable margin. This suggests that it was a social animal or that it was simply extremely effective at outcompeting others. Regardless of whether it operated alone or in groups, one thing that may have helped Dinocrocuta outcompete other predators was its exceptional senses: sight, hearing, and smell. Its large skull seems to have dedicated much space to the nasal, auditory, and visual regions, with designs similar to those seen in modern hyenas. Given that we know hyenas have outstanding abilities in these areas, it's not far-fetched to assume that Dinocrocuta had at least a similar level of skill. If this is true, Dinocrocuta could detect carrion from over 4 kilometers away with just its sense of smell, hear a predator killing prey from more than 100 football fields away, and have excellent binocular vision. In other words, it would have been almost impossible not to be detected by this monstrosity if you were within its range, and that range was literally enormous. Armed with these sharp senses and its large size, Dinocrocuta was, in many ways, an unstoppable force. This not only helped it become the most common large predator in its environments, but also enabled it to reach an extremely broad and diverse distribution. Its fossils have been found throughout much of Eurasia and in various parts of Africa. Across this vast area, Dinocrocuta lived in very different biomes and habitats. In Africa, it was commonly found in dry savannas, while in parts of Asia, like China, it inhabited forests. There were also populations that preferred more extreme habitats, such as the mountains of Tibet. Because it inhabited such a large part of the world, Dinocrocuta coexisted with a great variety of animals, unfortunately for them. These included prehistoric rhinoceroses, hedgehogs, pigs, primates, equids, giraffes, proboscidans, gazelles, tortoises, large flightless birds, hyenas, ancient deer, antelopes, rodents, crocodilians, and large boas. It's worth mentioning that although there were many types of animals, large herbivores in particular seemed to thrive, which was undoubtedly good news for Dinocrocuta. Another group of animals that prospered at the time were carnivorous mammals, which meant Dinocrocuta had to compete with multiple genera, such as Hyenodon, Amphicyon, and others. Some, like the saber-toothed cats, were similar to Dinocrocuta in size, and in some cases even surpassed it, directly competing in the same niche. This suggests frequent encounters. However, as mentioned before, Dinocrocuta seemed to have the upper hand, being the most abundant large carnivore in the fossil records. In some sites, there is even evidence that saber-toothed cats avoided areas where Dinocrocuta was present, indicating a dominant existence that could have been the result of its social behavior. If it was social, this would negate any size advantage of its competitors. Or perhaps it was simply due to its unique bite, which, according to fossil records, had exceptional force, surpassing any animal in its environment. A group of creatures that likely felt the impact of this bite were members of our own subfamily, the hominids. It is known that several genera lived in the same countries and at the same time as Dinocrocuta. Specifically, it is likely that Danuvius guggenmosi and possibly Sahelanthropus encountered this giant hyena. It's unclear exactly how these encounters would have gone, but considering that, in general, primates and early humans were often prey to ancient hyenas, it's safe to assume that things did not end well for our ancestors, especially when we consider all the lethal traits possessed by Dinocrocuta. The situation could have been extremely grim, as in certain places like Morocco, prehistoric hyenas were, in fact, the primary predators of early hominids. The reign of these terrible hyenas was long. Fossil formation suggests that, at the very least, they existed for a large portion of the Miocene, from about 11.5 million years ago to around 7 million years ago, when they experienced a sudden decline that led to their extinction. This rapid collapse has puzzled paleontologists, especially since they had thrived for such a long time. So far, no clear event from that period has definitively explained their disappearance. Furthermore, most of their prey continued to thrive for millions of years, so it doesn't seem there was a food shortage. On the other hand, although large felines eventually became the new kings of many ecosystems, that did not occur at that time. This makes it unlikely that Dinocrocuta faced extinction due to a direct competitor. For now, the mystery remains, but I'm sure our ancestors were probably relieved that this monstrosity disappeared.